Good morning, students. Welcome back to our economics class. Today, we are going to discuss with a small chapter, which is important chapter for your SAQs. So, very few questions are there. We will do that questions today. That is your environmental economics. So, from this chapter, this is your 9th chapter. From this chapter, you will be getting 2 SAQs from exam point of view. Very simple and generalized questions you'll be having. So, today let us discuss with the questions what will come from exam point of view. Okay, so the first question is from this environmental chapter. The first question is, what is pollution and what are the different types of pollution? Okay, so this is one question you will get for 5 marks. Very easy and simple question. Everyone can write about this question. Okay, so here we can say, first you have to give the introduction. What do you mean by pollution? See, here pollution means pollution is caused by pollutants which are mostly mixed up in air and water. So, pollution is caused by pollutants which are mixed with air and water. So, when the pollutants are mixed with air and water, it makes the atmosphere, it changes the atmosphere, damages the environment and all. So, that concept we call it as pollution, right? Okay, so pollution, when pollutants are mixed with air and water, it causes damage to the environment. So, how environment is related to our economy? Because in the economy, whatever the economic activities are carried on, these economic activities will be done with the help of environment. Because from environment, we get the natural resources. We get the raw material from the environment. From this only, we can do the production. Okay, production of any product is done with the resources that we get it from the nature. And whatever the products we are consuming, the waste which we release will go into the environment. Means here you see, environment is giving us certain resources for consumption, and after consumption, the waste what we are giving is taken over by the environment. So that way environment is helping us for our survival. So we can say all the economic activities are based on our environment. So if we protect our environment, obviously economic development will happen. Okay, so that way our economics and environment are related to each other. Now in that, when environment is degraded, how our environment is degraded here? So when our environment is degraded, that we call it as pollution. It is degraded by certain pollutants and all. We call it as pollution. What are the 3 types of pollution we have? One is air pollution. Air pollution when the pollutants are mixed with the air. Air pollution is caused over here. So generally you see the sources of air pollution are agricultural activities. The sources of how air pollution is caused over here. Mixture of solid particle. Air pollution is mixture of solid particles and gases in the air. So, what are the sources of air pollution? How air pollution is caused over here? Air pollution is caused by agricultural activities, because when we do the agriculture, we use certain equipments, machines and all. So that all will release certain gases, and agriculture waste which we release in the environment will cause the pollution. Combustion, agricultural activities, combustion, manufacturing process, manufacturing process. So these are the sources of air pollution here, and how it is affecting the lifestyle, means how the air pollution causing damage. Air pollution affect the respiratory system. It affects the respiratory system of humans, animals and birds. It affects the respiratory system of humans, animals and birds, and it affects food items, and also it affects food items. Air pollution also affect the food items, and also it damages greenhouse and temperature increases, and thereby temperature increases. So when you when you are writing this question, just write down what is air pollution, what are the sources of air pollution, and what are the effects of air pollution. Okay, so here you see air pollution means what? It is a mixture of solid particles and gases in the air. The sources of air pollution are agricultural activity, combustion, manufacturing process, also nuclear energy programs, and all. So how it is affecting? It is affecting the respiratory system of humans, animals and birds. It also affects the food items like our vegetables and fruits. It damages the greenhouse effect, and thereby temperature increases. And it also causes acid rains. Okay, so this is all about our air pollution, right? Then next one, water pollution. So water pollution is what? The properties of water is altered, which makes it useless or harmful. So water pollution is properties of water is altered, which makes it useless or harmful. Which makes it useless or harmful is called water pollution. Or we can say here, water pollution is excess materials into water is added, which cause harmful to the living organisms. So what are the generally, what are the sources of this water pollution? Your sources of water pollution are sewage, that is our drain water, organic chemicals, chemicals which are released in the water. Then you have mineral compounds, radioactive waste, mineral compounds, radioactive waste. So these are the sources of your water pollution. How water pollution is caused over here? Sewage water is released in the water. Organic chemicals are combined with the water. Mineral compounds are mixed with the water, or radioactive waste is combined with the water. It creates water pollution. And when the water is polluted, what are the effects it is having? So here, if you see the effects of this water pollution, it causes waterborne diseases like cholera, typhoid, and affect the human health. And water pollution decreases agricultural productivity. It decreases agricultural productivity. This water pollution decreases agricultural productivity and degrades the fertility of the soil. And degrades the fertility of the soil. So see, any few sources you write down, no need to write the complete answer. Main points you write down, that is enough. That's why I'm making it simple for you how to write, what points to write here. Okay, sources of water pollution: sewage, organic chemicals, mineral compounds, and radioactive waste. What are the effect it is having? Water pollution causes waterborne diseases to the human. It affects the human life, right? Also aqua life. It causes waterborne diseases like cholera, typhoid and all. Then it decreases the agricultural productivity and degrades the fertility of the soil. Okay, so this is your water pollution. Now, next type of pollution we have, that is noise pollution. So noise pollution is what? Generally, a human can hear up to 120 decibels. If the sound is more than that hearing capacity, then we call it as a noise. Okay. So coming to this noise pollution, psychological or physiological harm created by sound. So it is psychological or physiological harm, psychological or physiological harm created by sound. That is called as noise pollution. When sound is extreme and it is more than our hearing capacity, then we call it as a noise pollution. So here you see the sources. How the noise pollution is caused? Noise pollution is caused by traffic, railways. Near traffic signals, we can see huge noise, right? Railways, industries, loudspeakers, crackers. So this is enough. So these are the various sources of this noise pollution. And what are the effects if noise pollution is there? What are the effects it will have on our human survival here? So, it deteriorates the environment. Noise pollution affects human beings, animals, and birds also. It damages the ear and causes temporary or permanent hearing loss. So, here we can say psychological disorders are caused. Psychological disorders are caused over here, and it affects the brain and nervous system. Affects brain and nervous system. It affects the brain and nervous system. Mental fatigue, lack of concentration, means mental disturbance. Lack of concentration. So these are all the effects by our noise pollution. Okay. So noise pollution is what? It is a psychological or physiological harm which is created by sound. The various sources of this noise pollution are traffic, railways, industries, loudspeakers, crackers, wherever we get huge sound which is more than our hearing capacity. Okay. Then what are the effects of this noise pollution? It causes psychological disorder. It affects the brain and the nervous system. Mental fatigue is created. Lack of concentration will be there by this noise pollution. And also we can say efficiency of labor decreases due to continuous noise. So, efficiency of labor decreases due to the continuous noise which they are hearing. So, this is pollution and 3 types of pollution. Your 5 marks question. Okay, simple. When the question comes like this is a generalized question. You can answer in your own words also. So I have given you the main points what you should write over here. What is pollution? Pollution is the pollutant which are mixed with air and water which causes damage to the environment. What are the 3 types of pollution we have? Air pollution, water pollution, and noise pollution. First, you explain what is air pollution. It is a mixture of solid particles and gases in the air. The sources of air pollution are agricultural activities, combustion, manufacturing process, nuclear energy programs, etc. What are the effects of air pollution? It affects the respiratory system of humans, animals, and birds. It affects the food items like plants and fruits and vegetables. It damages the greenhouse and thereby temperature increases. Also, it causes acid rains. So, it is very harmful for our survival. And water pollution, the properties of water is altered, which makes it useless or harmful. Generally, when we take fresh water, it contains certain minerals and all, which is very beneficial for the human survival. But when water particles are altered, altered means what? Whatever the minerals which are used for human survival will be damaged, which causes harm to the human life. Okay, the sources of water pollution are sewage, organic chemicals, mineral compounds, and radioactive waste. The effects of water pollution are it causes waterborne diseases like cholera, typhoid, and all. It decreases agricultural productivity. See, in agriculture, we use water. When water is of not good quality, it decreases the agricultural productivity. Also degrades the fertility of the soil. Next is noise pollution. Noise pollution is psychological or physiological harm which is created by the sound. When sound is exceeding the limit, which is not up to our hearing capacity, exceeding our hearing capacity, We call it as noise pollution. The sources of noise pollution are traffic sound, railways, industries, loudspeakers, and crackers. You can add some more points also. What are the effects here? It affects the human, it affects the humans. That is, it creates psychological disorder. It affects the brain and the nervous system. Mental fatigue is created. Mental disturbance is created. Lack of concentration for people. When we hear huge sound, we are unable to concentrate. And efficiency of the labor decreases. Labor also, when they are working in an industry or an organization, when continuous sound, noise they are hearing, that disturbs their concentration and efficiency decreases. So this is about pollution and types of pollution. So this is one question for your SAQ, pollution and types of pollution. And next question you have, that is environmental degradation and what are the reasons for environmental degradation. So your question will be, point out the reasons for environmental degradation. Second question for 5 marks. Reasons for environmental degradation. Right? What do you mean by environmental degradation? Environmental degradation means disintegration of the earth or deterioration of the natural assets of the environment. We can say degradation, disintegration of earth and natural assets in the environment. So environmental degradation, it is the disintegration of the earth or deterioration of natural assets, deterioration of natural assets in the environment. In the environment, it is called as environmental degradation. So it has become it occurs when earth natural resources are depleted. It occurs when earth natural resources are depleted. Depleted means what? Decreased in the quality. When resources are not of good quality or when resources are decreasing, we call it as environmental degradation. Now, what are the reasons for environmental degradation? Let us see. First one, land disturbance. Land disturbance. So overgrazing, then invasive species destroy land and environmental assets. So we can say invasive species and overgrazing destroy land. Overgrazing destroy land and environmental assets. So invasive species means what? Which are causing damage in the earth surface. Overgrazing, unnecessary trees are coming up in the empty areas and all, which will take over the fertility of the soil. So that overgrazing destroy the land and environmental assets. So land degradation and it disturbs the fertility of the soil and earth becomes hard. So land degradation and soil erosion are serious problem. Nearly 40% of land is suffering from soil erosion through water and wind. So land disturbance is one reason. Second reason is pollution. Just now we have done with the pollution. When pollutants are mixed with air and water, pollution is caused, which is causing harmful for the environment. Air, water, noise, land pollutions are harmful for the environment. They destroy the quality in air, water, and land. And sound pollution threatens the animals and birds. Rapid population growth also puts the strain on natural resources, due to which environment degrades. So why our environment is degrading? Pollution, air, water, and noise pollution is causing damage to the environment. Along with that, we can say here the various rapid growth of population also is a strain on the natural resources and it causes damage to our environment. And solid and hazardous wastage. Solid and hazardous waste which is released in the environment. Many cities, particularly in developing countries, generate more solid waste and even it affects human health and productivity. Also, it spreads the diseases. Solid and hazardous waste pollute groundwater resources. And e-waste is another important and growing hazardous waste. Electronic waste is one of the fastest growing waste streams worldwide. So generally, when we release solid particles, solid wastage in the environment, it causes damage to our environment. It creates pollution, it spreads the diseases and all. So that is damage, that is causing damage to our environment. Another reason is soil degradation. Soil is also losing its fertility. So soil degradation is soil erosion, which is a result of wind and water. It affects the agriculture land. Top fertile layer will be affected, which harms the productivity, of the soil. And we can say this soil degradation is causing damage for our environment. In India, as per the reports of June 2013, 13 million hectares of agriculture land cannot be cultivated because they are waterlogged or because they are highly damaged. Okay, so here we can say soil degradation, because of the soil erosion which is caused by wind and water erosion, the top layer of the soil, fertile soil, is going on and it is logging in dams and rivers. So that is becoming wastage, which is affecting the productivity of the agriculture land. Next reason is deforestation. Deforestation, cutting down the trees to provide space for more homes and industries. To create our home, we are cutting down the trees, means our natural resources we are damaging. So because of this, deforestation increasing the global warming by sending carbon back to the environment. Another reason for environmental degradation is natural causes. Natural calamities like floods, tidal waves, earthquakes, tsunamis, wildfire. These all have immediate effect as well as long-term effect on the nature. When the earthquakes, tsunamis, floods are coming, most of the waste will be released in the environment. So that all will cause the damage to the environment. Industrialization and overproduction. Industrialization and overproduction cause damage to our environment. Like generally in the country, we can see science and technology is developing. As it is expanding, productive capacity of the country is also expanding. But the raw materials and other natural resources are exploited, means they are overutilized. In order to increase our productive capacity, as we are introducing new technology, we are overutilizing our raw materials and natural resources, where regeneration is not possible. So, and also industries through smoke, sound and all, it is degrading the environment. So, it is having a effect on our land. So, these points you write down for these environmental degradation. Land disturbance, the species overgraze and all destroy the land and environmental assets. Pollution, air, water and noise pollution causing damage to the environment. Solid and hazardous waste which is released in the environment causing damage for our environment. Soil degradation, soil erosion and through wind and water erosion are decreasing the fertility of the soil, which is affecting the agricultural productivity. Deforestation, in order to construct our homes for living, we are cutting down the trees. When the trees are cutted, obviously, carbon will be released back to us. So it causes damage to our human survival. Natural causes like earthquakes, tsunamis and all will degrade the environment. Industrialization and overproduction. With science and technology, excessive production, we are expanding our production activities where we are exploiting the raw materials and the natural resources, as well as industrial smoke and all are causing damage to our environment. So these are the reasons for environmental degradation. Why our environment is degrading. Okay, so the next question we will be preparing in this chapter is one more simple question you have here. That is sustainable development. Question will be, what is sustainable development? Your question will be, what is sustainable development and why we need this sustainable development? So this is one question you have to prepare from this chapter. So we can say sustainable development means what? As we have studied in our previous chapters also, we came across this sustainable development. Meeting the needs of present without compromising the future. Okay, so that means here sustainable development, we can explain this in this way: economic development without destruction of the environment. Economic development without destruction of environment is called as sustainable development. Means we are developing our economy without damaging or without destructing our environment. That is called as that is called as sustainable development. Or we can also explain this as development. Sustainable development means meeting the needs of present, meeting the needs of present without compromising the ability of future generation, without compromising the needs of, without compromising the ability of future generation, without compromising the ability of the future generation to meet their own needs. To meet their own needs. This is called as sustainable development. See, what is sustainable development? Economic development without destruction of environment. When we are going for our economic development of our economy, we are not destructing our environment. Okay. And it is meeting the needs of present without compromising the ability of future generation to meet their own needs. Means here, whatever the resources are there in the country, which we are using for our economic development, that should be used in such a way that we can use them for present usage as well as also for our future usage. That concept is called as sustainable development. You see the objectives of sustainable development. Why we should have sustainable development here? First, increase of growth or income. Increase of growth or income. That means sustainable development aims to increase the standard of living of all sections of the society. Standard of living, right? And health, education, participation in public life, clean environment, and promotion of equity for the future generations are included in improving standards of living. Means whatever are the facilities that we are getting in the present generation, we should make available for our future generation also. The education, the health, the environment, the resources, whatever we are getting now, same thing should be available for our future generations also. With that objective, sustainable development is there. And there should be a continuity of development. Continuity of development, like physical, human, and natural capital, are to be preserved and carefully used under sustainable development. Whatever the resources we have, like physical resources, like our mineral ores, iron ores and all. Human resources, like our labor. Natural capital, natural assets which we get it from the nature. That should be used in such a way that we can use them for our future development also. We should use these resources carefully so that future also we can use them and we can achieve our economic development. And another objective of sustainable development is controlling degradation. Controlling degradation. Degradation means what? Environmental degradation. Environment is losing its, like soil is losing fertility, land is losing its fertility, natural resources are getting exhausted. So such environmental degradation should be controlled. That is one of the main objective of sustainable development. So we can say development should not lead to environmental degradation, which is affecting the quality of life. And a development should not reduce productivity in the long run. When we go for development, when we use technology, we cut down the trees. We construct big buildings. Where are the trees? Trees will protect the human survival. So when we are going for development purpose, this degradation should be controlled. So the quality of land, water, air, soil should be maintained for sustainable development. Okay, so whatever the decision we are taking for our economic development should not affect the standard of living of the people. And the next objective is protection of biodiversity. Protection of biodiversity. So here, sustainable development assigns priority to preserve the biodiversity. Biodiversity means what? All type of species, living organisms live together. One is dependent on each other. So such biodiversity should be protected. So all production activities are related to biodiversity. Genetic diversity, species diversity, and ecodiversity are to be maintained for sustainable development. So this is all about your sustainable development. Sustainable development means what? Development without destruction of environment. Means whatever the economic development we are taking up, that should not distract or damage our environment. Or we can define it as meeting the needs of present without compromising the ability of future generation to meet their own needs. We should utilize our resources in such a way that we are able to use them for present development as well as for our future development also. And what are the objectives of this sustainable development? It increase of growth or income. Sustainable development should be in such a way that it should increase the standard of living of the people. People should get good education facilities, health facilities, good resources, natural resources should be available, not only for present generation, but also for our future generation. And sustainable aims at continuity of development. The resources what we use from our nature, the resources what we use in our environment should be, which are helpful for our development, should not be used only for present usage, but we should use them for our future use also. And controlling the degradation, the environmental degradation which is caused by our development process can be controlled by sustainable development. And protection of biodiversity, protection of our ecodiversity and biodiversity, genetical diversity is possible through our sustainable development. So this is one more 5 marks question. What is sustainable development? Next, we will do with our VSAQs. Only the important VSAQs I am going to explain here. So this chapter, these 3 5 marks questions you prepare. One is pollution and its types. One is pollution and its types. You should write 3 types of pollution, their sources and effects. Another one is reasons for environmental degradation. Why environment is degrading? What are the reasons here? And the other question is, what is sustainable development and why we should go for sustainable development? And next, the VSAQs we are doing here. So first VSAQ is types of environment. Our environment means what? Surroundings. Our surroundings are divided into physical environment, biotic environment, and social or cultural environment. So, physical environment, biotic environment, and social or cultural environment. Physical environment means our resources which we get it from the nature, like land, water, air, atmosphere, climatic factors. All these comes under our physical environment. Biotic environment are like we can say all the living beings such as animals, human beings, plants, birds, fish, microorganisms and all come under biotic environment. Next, we have social or cultural environment. That is the lifestyle of human beings, the society, the historical features, cultural aspects, political aspects and all come under our social and cultural environment. Next BSAQ is ecosystem. Ecosystem. Ecosystem means here the living community of plants and animals together with non-living components is called ecosystem. So we can say here the living community of plants and animals along with non-living community of plants and animals along with non-living components is called ecosystem, right? So that means our living organisms are dependent on non-living organisms for various reasons, and this ecosystem is a combination of natural and physical environment in a given area and their interaction. So we can also write it as it is a combination of natural and physical environment, in a given area and their interactions. It is called as ecosystem. So next we have air pollution, water pollution. Already we have done with air pollution and water pollution. Environmental degradation we have done. Sustainable development is also done. Just now we have discussed all these things. Now we have renewable and non-renewable sources. So next question is renewable and non-renewable sources. Renewable means what? In the nature, certain resources can be regenerated again. The resources which can regenerate. The resources which can regenerate are called renewable, and which cannot regenerate or gets over as we use are called non-renewable. So you can give the examples also. That is, renewable sources are water, air, sunlight and all. Whereas non-renewable resources are your coal, right? Fossil fuels. These all will come under non-renewable resources. Okay. And you will do with sustainable development, air pollution, water pollution. And also here, you have physical environment. Physical environment is nothing but your living organisms on the earth surface, like land, water, air, sunlight, and all. It is also known as abiotic environment and natural environment. It includes non-living or physical things like land, water, air, and atmosphere, which will have effect on the living organisms. So these are the questions you have to prepare from this chapter. So if you read with the questions, what I have explained in today's class, if you revise with that, that is enough from this chapter. So you'll be getting your 5 marks questions as well as VSAQs from this chapter. So from this chapter, you will be preparing pollution, environment degradation, and sustainable development. Okay. And VSAQs, types of environment, ecosystem, renewable and non-renewable sources. So when you prepare your SAQs also, from that also you will get your VSAQs. So these questions you prepare. And this completes your environment economic chapter. And in next class, we are going to start with a important chapter, that is Telangana economy, right? Where you will have LAQ, SAQ and VSAQs. Compulsory 1 LAQ, compulsory 2 SAQs and 2 VSAQs you will get from that chapter. Last chapter, you have more weightage. Okay then. So with this, we have completed with our 9th chapter also. Hope you all understood this one, right? So in tomorrow's class, we'll start with our new chapter, that is Telangana economy. Thank you.